Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the SoCal Sports Dudes podcast. Jason Wen here. Hey, today I wanted to come at you guys with an NFL video. As we know, NFL draft was today, first round action here on Thursday, April 27th. So I wanted to run through the first round of the draft with you guys. So thank you for tuning in. With that, let's just kind of run through the picks, how it went, and see how your team did. So the first pick, of course, Carolina Panthers drafted Bryce Young, quarterback from Alabama. Not a surprise there. Of course, they traded up with the Bears a couple of months ago now to position themselves to draft the QB. We didn't know if it was going to be Young or Stroud at first, but I think Young was the guy that they ended up going with. Kind of a smallish quarterback, I wonder if he's going to hold up. And there's a few question marks there, but good, field vision and kind of a feel for the game. Of course, played at a great program there in Alabama. We'll see, though, how it translates to the NFL here. We've had, other Alabama quarterbacks come into the league, and Tua being one of them, a little smaller guy. So I'm wondering about the durability going up against these bigger players who are equally fast, and him being surrounded by all that talent in Alabama, makes a lot of people look good. So, but good for him, man. Bryce Young, California kid, on to Carolina with the number one pick. Read a note that said he was the first ever Alabama player to be drafted number one overall. Does that seem kind of crazy? I mean, wow. Of all these years, Alabama with that football factory that they are, you would have thought that would have been, plenty of other players drafted number one overall from there. But interesting stat. But anyway, Houston was second. They drafted C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. Guy who, we're reading lately the scores, the mental scores were kind of going down, and some of the tests he took. Was that going to affect his draft status? But again, so much talk, so much chatter, so many rumors, that none of it's really amounts to anything until we get to the actual draft day and see how all this goes down. I think a lot of teams are just kind of, floating with smoke and mirrors, floating rumors out there, and just kind of maybe trying to distract teams so they can focus in on the guy that they want to get. But yeah, C.J. Stroud, they get their quarterback of the future there. Next, they moved up in the draft to move up to the third spot. So the Texans again picked third. They drafted Will Anderson, edge from Alabama. Fine defensive player there. So that's quite a combo there, defensive and offensive foundational pieces there that they can build around with Stroud and Anderson. Indy was fourth. They drafted Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida, very athletic type. Probably a little bit raw, but I mean, Indy has been kind of, quarterback hungry these last couple of years, having to recycle Philly Rivers and Matt Ryan and such, and Carson Wentz. Just finally get someone younger who they could plug in there, teach them the right way, and get them going. So Richardson, a guy with a lot of upside. So we'll see if that translates into results on the field there for Indy. But yeah, a lot of tools there for the guy Richardson. Fifth, the Seahawks drafted Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois. I think at that point, people maybe thought if a quarterback slipped to them, they would make a move to get that. But cornerback with the Pete Carroll system, not really too much of a surprise that they would go that route. Seattle moved down and then moved back. Arizona had moved down out of that third spot all the way down to 12 and then went back up to 6 to get Paris Johnson Jr., a guy that, of course, his name had been mentioned with them before as a guy, Kyler Murray, kind of like offensive tackle from Ohio State. So that's good. Help them build that offensive line. Cardinals need a lot of help, man. So guess getting a guy like Johnson, not a bad move. The Raiders look like they made a pretty good move. They grabbed Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech, edge rusher. I really thought the Raiders, they are known to be pretty, make a lot of questionable draft picks come draft day. Kind of frustrating as Raider fans, but this one looks like a solid pick, man. They didn't overreach or grab someone who out of left field, that Al Davis, and it seemed like the Gruden and Mayock, leadership group was doing. And, to grab Tyree Wilson, though, looks like a good, solid, sensible pick. So guy with a lot of upside. When you got Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, now you could throw Wilson as there as another edge type rusher to help keep that pass rush up and going, which you need in the AFC West, man. You got Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Russell Wilson to deal with. So having rushers who can get to the quarterback, definitely something you want to have. on your team. So eighth, Atlanta picked Bijan Robinson from Texas, the running back. Probably a little higher than some people had expected, but exciting, dynamic player. Goes to a system where the coach really likes running the ball, running attack, of course. So I think he'll blend in pretty good there. Electric player who I think can be, that big home run threat. And you got, Algier, you got Cordell Patterson, Kyle Pitts. I don't know how Ritter's going to end up, but you also got Heineke there. So you got some pieces there at Atlanta. Again, I think also a weak division, so maybe they can, ascend quicker than some people think with the rest of the teams in that division. Ninth, Philly moved up a spot to get Jalen Carter, defensive lineman from Georgia. Lately, Philly's been loving these Georgia players, but Carter, a guy who had that little off the field thing there at the end, I think kind of pushed him down in this draft status a little bit, or in the rankings, but he goes ninth overall. A guy that I've heard a number of people say he's the most talented, best player in the draft. So Philly at the ninth spot, it seems like they get a pretty good value there. So, excuse me. Chicago 10th drafted Darnell Wright, offensive tackle from Tennessee. So that's cool. They get a little protection up front for Justin Fields, helping give him a little time. That offensive line the last couple of years has been pretty bad. So yeah, it looks like a good piece for them to get O-line help. And then right after that, Tennessee getting Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle from Northwestern, a guy that they said might be better suited to play guard in the NFL, but looked like a good value. Smart pick, nothing flashy or more substance over style in that one, but a need. Luan and Conklin. The last couple of years, they've kind of had some of their tackles that have been there for a few years move on, so they needed to kind of plug some holes there along that O-line. Looks like a good get there by the Titans. The Lions moved down, grabbed Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. Thought a little bit high for the second running back to get drafted, but dynamic player. Obviously got a lot of playmaking and home run hitting ability there. Detroit's offense didn't seem to be the weak side of the of the team that last year. They were kind of solid offensively. I thought they'd go for some defensive help, go for like a corner or a D lineman or edge rusher or something like that. But Jahmyr Gibbs gives them another, weapon to play with there for their offense. So, and they did lose Jamal Williams to New Orleans, so they pick up another running back here to pair with DeAndre Swift and keep that attack going for Detroit. Next up, Green Bay picked Luke Van Ness, edge from Iowa. Give them another young player there on the defensive side of the ball, someone who can get to the quarterback. So looks like a good solid pick there. 14th, Pittsburgh picked Broderick Jones, offensive tackle from Georgia. They moved up to get him, but Pittsburgh's offensive line the last couple of years has been kind of, had some holes in it. So good move for them. It looks like to pick up Broderick Jones, big O lineman from Georgia. The Jets at 15 picked Will McDonald, edge rusher from Iowa State. So another weapon for Robert Saleh to plug and play there. So of course they did complete that Aaron Rodgers trade earlier in the week. And, they traded Elijah Moore, but they still have a few other receivers, plus to get Breece Hall back from injuries. So the offense has some weapons there. I was thinking, maybe another weapon wouldn't hurt to give to Rodgers or some offensive line help. But Will McDonald, the guy they went with there. Washington at 16 picks Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback from Mississippi State. Looking at the film there, he's a pretty skinny guy, but he, playmaker, kind of has a nose for the ball. So Washington Commanders made the move there to get the corner. New England followed that with getting Christian Gonzalez. I think a lot of people had him ranked as the highest or one of the highest corners in the league or in this draft from Oregon. So he slipped to 17. So it looks like a good draft or good value pick there for the Patriots. I was thinking some teams in top 12 would, make a move to get him. But it looks like kind of like a Belichick type of pick as well. So it looks like a good job there. Detroit grabbed Jack Campbell, linebacker from Iowa. I'm a big dude. He can kind of run around and make plays, though. Detroit going with some defensive help there after grabbing the running back earlier. So definitely need some help on that side of the ball. And plus, they traded Okuda. They've kind of swung and missed on a few people there on the defensive side. So hopefully for them, Campbell can work out for them. Tampa Bay at 19 picked Kalijah Kancey, defensive tackle from Pitt. You look at his measurables, they're comparing him to Aaron Donald. I don't know how realistic that really is, but he has some attributes there that are similar, and kind of got a similar physique where he's 6'1"ish, a little bit of a shorter D tackle type, but kind of a wrecks havoc there in the backfield. So potentially Tampa Bay got themselves quite a good playmaker there. I thought this would be the spot where maybe I thought Will Levis would come off the board. Tampa, of course, with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback that they're looking to next year. I thought maybe, I don't know if Trask is the long-term answer there. I thought maybe, hey, Levis here, you plug him in there. It's been a guy it seemed like they had, spoke highly of before with Levis. But anyway, Kalijah Kancey there as the 19 pick. Seattle picked again. They got Jackson Smith-Jigba from wide receiver from Ohio State. So add that playmaker there to along with Metcalf and Lockett. And Geno had a good year last year. So Seattle gets another toy there on offense. And, Lockett's kind of getting up there a little bit in years. Smith, Jigba, of course, coming from that Ohio State. Lately, they've been pumping out some really good wide receivers. You had Garrett Wilson, and now you have Smith-Jigba this year. And I'm trying to blank on the other guy Olave, really good. And then, of course, they're going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out next year. So a lot of good receivers coming through Ohio State. This guy, though, really tore it up a couple years ago in that bowl game. So might be, just as good or better than some of the other previous, mentioned receivers that Ohio State has produced the last couple of years. So that began a little run of wide receivers here, because right after that, the 21st pick, the Chargers picked Quentin Johnson, wide receiver from TCU. Then Baltimore, with the 22nd pick, picked Zay Flowers from Boston College. Looked like a guy to kind of complement Bateman and now OBJ there in that offense. Of course, they got the new O coordinator. Lamar got a new 5-year deal there. So looks like Baltimore kind of settled in and solidified everything, because there's a lot of rumblings about if Lamar was going to stay. Did he want out? Was he going to get the deal? Did he really going to trade him? Was there going to be some draft day trades with Lamar going somewhere, or, DeAndre Hopkins or some of these other guys? But looks like he's staying put, 5-year deal. He's probably excited, of course, with the OBJ signing, the new all coordinator. Now you get another piece in Zay Flowers, who they understand could be kind of the underneath slot guy that would fit with what they're doing there. And then right after that, Minnesota drafted Jordan Addison from wide receiver from USC. So you had 4 receivers right in a row right there from 20 through 23 picks. Addison, of course, the guy who played here in LA. Dynamic player. So looks like each of those 4 teams got some weapons there, and each of them got some pretty good quarterbacks to get them the ball. So 24th, the Giants picked Deonte Banks, a corner from Maryland. Should be fit good with Wink Martindale's style of play there on defense. Buffalo moved up to get Dalton Kincaid, tight end from Utah. So a little bit of a trip there that they go with tight end. They look like they had a few other needs there, maybe on defense, grab another receiver, but they went tight end there. I mean, hey, that never hurts. Josh Allen can have now a couple of weapons with Dawson Knox and now Kincaid to throw to. This gives them another weapon on offense. Bills Mafia, man. Hopefully that's one that works out for them. Dallas picked Macy Smith, defensive lineman from Michigan, a guy who could plug the middle up there. I wasn't sure if Dallas had, been talked about earlier, that were they going to move up and try to make a splash play for a Bijan Robinson type to replace like a Zeke Elliott and pair with Tony Pollard. But it looks like they did a solid, smart move. Got good value there down at the 26th spot. So, good pick for Dallas. Never hurts for them to have a little help on defense there. Jacksonville at 27. They had actually traded down twice, I believe, 2 spots. I'm not sure exactly what they picked up, but we'll kind of research that and maybe come at you guys with the next video with that. They picked Anton Harrison, O-tackle from Oklahoma, with a 27th pick. Give himself some O-line help. Of course, their big O-lineman, was it James? He took off from Jacksonville and signed with KC. So you had a hole there and plug it with a O tackle from Oklahoma. So and at least they kind of restock the line there with that. Cincinnati at 28 took Miles Murphy, edge rusher from Clemson. Yeah, looked like a good value. He was a guy that I was reading some publications that I had potential top 10, top 15 picks. So to get him at 28, not bad. And, give them a playmaker on defense, man. Everyone kind of sees Cincy and they always see, Burrow and Chase and Mixon and T. Higgins, excuse me. But, to get a guy like Murphy, guy who can edge rush or give him a presence off the edges and pressure the quarterback. Of course, always something that every team needs. So looks like a good value there. New Orleans at 29. Brian Breesy with Breesy, D lineman with Clemson. Looks like a good, solid interior fit. Guy who had some injury issues, but has some good talent. So probably worth the risk at this point in the draft at 29. 30th, Philly again picked Nolan Smith, edge rusher from Georgia, a guy who missed a little time last year, but got a lot of abilities. And to get him at 30, man, that looks like a pretty solid get for them that late in the draft. And then last but not least, KC with 31st pick, Felix Anuke Uzoma, sorry if I mispronounced that, edge rusher from K-State. So kind of gets to stay nearby and stay there right in that Midwest and in Kansas and go play with the, I guess the hometown team, right, with Kansas City. There are only 31 picks in this year's draft because Miami forfeited a pick with their tampering that they did, I think, a couple years ago, right, with Sean Payton / Tom Brady. I don't know what was going on there, but they got deemed a penalty and had to forfeit their first round pick. So 31 picks first round in the books. Kind of a fun day, man. I thought going into the draft there'd be more trades and all these rumors that were flying around about this guy's dropping in the draft, this guy's rising, this team's going to trade him, and Lamar, is he going to be on the move? But all that's kind of settled down when you saw the Rodgers trade finally go down. Lamar got his deal. DeAndre Hopkins, as of now, is still with Arizona. So there might still be some more moves, upon us here soon. But at least for the first round in the books now, there wasn't too much crazy movement. There were a few teams, of course, that moved up and down, namely Houston jumping back up to 3. And then, of course, so a couple of teams there that had the Arizona, of course, the other one that moved down before they moved back up. And then you have teams that had a couple of first rounders, Seattle, you had Houston, you had Philly, all had multiple first round picks there. So Detroit. So a few teams look like they did a pretty good job, getting the players they got. Everyone, of course, according to the images, everyone in their team respective war rooms all looked happy with the guy they got. Half these guys will end up panning out, maybe half won't. I mean, 2/3, whatever you want to say. But it's going to be interesting to see how, how, of course, the second and third rounds play out, because a lot of teams still have some needs to fill out there. And there's still some valuable picks out there that didn't get drafted in the first round that slid down and will be available now, second and third rounds, for teams to scoop up some value, continue to build their roster and replenish the talent on their team. So, yeah, man, it's a fun day. I always kind of get in geek mode here for NFL draft. It's fun to see who picks what and what needs are filled and what route and what players teams end up drafting, because there's so many possible guys you can pick and different ways you can approach this and stuff. So the draft to me is always really fun. But tomorrow, Friday, will be rounds 2 and 3, which to me in some ways is almost even better, because you get 2 good rounds, good solid quality players out there, and these teams can really make moves to really stockpile talent and fill out their rosters, I should say. So it'll be fun how that plays out. But we'll, maybe come at you guys tomorrow with another video. Of course, my Lakers are on tomorrow, so I'll come out with an NBA video as well. Lately, man, Dodgers haven't been much to report. They were getting their asses handed to them over and over again by the Pirates, who are playing really good, man. So baseball, it's still kind of early. I won't really get too much into that. But, I'm a NFL and NBA guy first. But we will, kind of keep an eye on all of everything as it goes down and come at you guys with some more content when there's news to report. So we'll see you again soon in the next one. I appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.